new opportunities in the pet food space. Why are we interested in those markets? Well, they tend to be of the higher margin variety when it comes to the agribusiness space, right? And we believe any investment in these areas will be definitely value accretive to the group. No, we also know that that these segments of the industry are faster growing. In terms of protein consumption, aqua is one of the fastest growing globally. So we, while we are invested in this space already through our feed operations, we want to see if there are any other opportunities that allow us to move further into the segment, perhaps even into an integrated platform of some sort. And well, an acquisition would definitely be the fastest way to do that. No, pet food again, high margin, very fast growing. I think particularly through this COVID-19 pandemic, everybody has really kind of gone back to looking at pets as a source of comfort, right? And so again, this is a space that we view to be very fast growing, very high margin, very young in terms of the development across the region, and so we believe there to be significant opportunity there. No, I hope I covered all of the question.
Okay, thank you, Tristan. Thanks, Likha. Okay, there's another question for EVR. This one is from Mirna Velasco of Bulletin. In your 50-50 RE to thermal ratio in 10 years, what will be the exact portfolio of projects you are pursuing? As in how many megawatts of renewable energy exactly? Like how many megawatts of solar, wind, hydro, and how many megawatts more of thermal, and how much investment had been allocated for these ventures? Aside from the disclosed 23 billion Capex for Dinginin and BES, what's the place of gas in your targeted mix and investment portfolio? And when will gas capacity be part of your capacity addition? So that's quite
Thank you. Quite a lot of questions, Mirna. Thank you very much. Well, for one, I think the 50-50 thermal ratio in 10 years is an aspirational target, but we will get there with our aim to bring our renewable capacity. Our estimates around 3,900 megawatts by year 2029-2030. And at the moment, we have land bank about 350 that we own, and the option for another 1,100 hectares. We have an 850 megawatt renewable energy service contract from the DOE, and we will actually start with this and move on as we go. In the next 10 years. We are actually looking at really for the DOE to drive compliance to RPS. This is the single driver for growth of RE in the Philippines, and we look forward to the for JUP to start, so that generators like us will have a venue to other than contracting individual customers, to participate in auctions when entities that are required to comply with RPS put their markers for future contracts, hopefully for 10-year contracts. And as I said, that will bring us probably to 3,900 megawatts in 2030. That may not be exactly 50-50, but I think it's going to be very close to that. On the next move for baseload, right? We said we've always looked at the option of choosing gas. In fact, when as we speak, we already have a team looking at our gas option. We're doing very early on a very early stage feasibility studies for gas on at least two locations. Please note also that we are partners with Meralco in RP Energy, and since we have communicated that in RP Energy we will not be building coal anymore, that we are actually reserving that site for possible gas option, to supply a CSP by Meralco or any other DU that will have a CSP say for with merit, no? And even for NGCP's an NGCP provider for ancillary services. I don't have the exact number with me, Mirna, as regards capex for the next 10 years. No? As we are still there's a lot of moving pieces and costs variation in terms of whether it's solar, whether it's wind, but mainly for the renewable energy project that we have, a significant portion obviously will come from solar. But in the end, I think the main constraint with that would be land. No? And I think he who has land will win. That's why we also feel that we have a very valuable asset in our reservoirs, no? In our hydros, in Magat, in Abuklao, in Binga, where we can consider also putting up sizable floating solar capacities moving forward. Will there be an opportunity for coal in the future? We are not closing or coming. So we're not coming up with a definitive position in coal. I think DOE. We all know that DOE came up with a coal moratorium policy and still allowing um, 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 brownfield coal, no, and with certain categories, especially like supercritical coal, no, moving forward, and those would already permits to proceed. I think in certain areas of the Philippines, there will be specific niches where coal will remain to be competitive, no, and at the end of the day, I think it will be still market forces that will decide that. Will we participate? I think it's something that we have that we will continue to look at. But the option really that we are really seriously considering, particularly in the zone, would be gas.
Sorry. Thank you, EVR. Now, okay, the next question is addressed for Mr. Hilado. Do you expect the strong first quarter earnings growth of Union Bank to be sustained in the coming quarters? What will be the key drivers?
Um, our first quarter performance was really strong. So, but to say that the same level of earnings would be happening for the next few quarters, I think that that would be more difficult because we had one-time gains in the first quarter. We had substantial trading gains. But moving forward, we think that our recurring income would still will be strong, um, and we should be on target to meet our 2021 objectives in terms of income, and that will be driven by our net interest margin, which continues to improve. First quarter, for example, we had a 12 to 15 basis point improvement in margins. And we think that with sustained growth in our CASA, we had year-on-year growth about 29%. Our NIM should be very good till the end of the year. And we've substantially provided for loan loss provisions in the first quarter. And so long as the economy recovers for the rest of the year, then there should be no problem meeting the targets for 2021.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sir, another question for you. Do you have ESG linked financing in your loan portfolios? And do you have any pronouncement if you would still continue to extend financing to coal fired power projects? Sir?
We are working on a few deals for ESG. One focusing on MSMEs and supplier financing chain. We're working with a multilateral agency, and if it does not push through, we'll do a public deal. And we're also looking at doing an ESG financing for CSB, Savings Bank. As for an official stand on coal, we don't have an official stand regarding coal financing. Suffice me to say that in our own credit decisions, when power plants like coal plants are presented for approval, of course, we take that into account as part of our analysis in terms of the credit risk. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Now we have a question for SMA. May I ask when will the parent and its operating units return to pre-pandemic levels in terms of various metrics like income, revenues, profitability, etc.? What are the headwinds to this return to pre-pandemic levels? Sir, you have the floor.
Yeah, well, okay, who asked that question? I thought you liked me. Who was the one who asked that question?
No names.
Um,
It's not
no
indicated.
name, huh? Oh my God, no wonder. No, joke lang. You know, the returning to pre-pandemic level is, that's probably the hardest question because as we see, we've got so many delays because of so many unexpected things that is happening with the pandemic. Um, we hope to be close this year, close to where we were as far as profitability is concerned, right? And hopefully next year, we surpass it, right? So that's the target. Now, again, a third wave comes in, we don't know, it starts delaying you again, right? But definitely, the only difference is that we will have by the second half of this year and next year, we will start with the new investments and new businesses coming in, including the beginning unit one starting this year and unit two next year, right? So I'm pretty confident that this year we will be closer and next year we will surpass. But these pandemics and whatever comes, you never know, right? So that's where we are.
Thank you, sir. Sir, there's just one
The headwinds, right? So the headwinds, Maricar. So sorry, I have it written down. As far as the headwinds
ahead,
are concerned, really, the biggest headwinds is going to be our team adapting to what we call the better normal is going to be, right? I mean, we don't know in 3 to 5 years, we don't know how the world will work, right? Will be, and what talent and skills we're going to need. So I always say, people that always ask me, what have I learned in this pandemic? And I always give the same answer, right? And it's not a new answer. It's that it's always been about people and will always be about people. So we are focused on our team. We're focused on helping them adapt with the new skills that are necessary. We're focused on identifying what those new skills are, right, to be able to work in the new, in the new generation, in the new way of working in the next 3 to 5 years, right? And those are the headwinds that we are really, really focusing on inside, making sure our team members are ready.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sir, there's just one more question. Has the group completed its right sizing program? Please give details on the progress of this initiative.
Yes, right sizing. I don't know what you mean exactly by right sizing because we always have to adapt. Agility is a key part of our strategy. How to be able to adapt to whatever comes. What's coming, we don't know. All we know is that we need to adapt. So that is what we are focused on. The right sizing is I think will always be there, and the right sizing can go up or down, right? Most probably, actually, will go up. You're going to need a new skill and different types of skills, and so plus you have new businesses. The right sizing is actually getting the right more people, but with the right skills, right? Or train what you have now for the right skills, but don't do it later. Do it before. So we're now focusing on doing that before, right? And a lot of other countries are ahead of us, so we are trying to learn from them. Like we have established our Aboitiz data company in Singapore, right? That is hiring with grants from the Singapore government. That is hiring people from Singapore that have been trained on the new skills, right? Behavioral scientists, etc., and new types of business of skills that we need every day that a few months ago we didn't even know we needed. Right? We are now using them now to train our team here with those new skills that are going to be needed, right? So using that as kind of like a siphon to be able to train our team members on what's coming that we don't know what's coming, right? And I know it's kind of contradictory, right? But so we are making sure that we have the organization ready to be able to adapt to what those new skills are, um, and get them for get the learning from wherever in the world we can actually get it.
Okay, thank you, SMA. There's one question from Bruce Rodriguez of ABS-CBN News. It may be answered by SMA or other members of the panel. With the recovery plan for the group set in place, what are the upside and downside risks you're seeing in the short term as the pandemic continues its grip on the country?
Well, so I'll answer it quickly. I mean, the obvious risks of the pandemic are there, right? The, there are the opportunities, obviously, right? You know, we have we have digitized much quicker, and as you know, for our bank, and not only the bank but Aboitiz in general, digitization was a key strategy that we started 5 years ago. Um, we move forward, we move back a little bit, move forward, move back a bit, but in general, we move forward. Um, and so that is where we think that the opportunities are, right? And since from your grandmother to the government to us had no choice but to adapt to the digital world. If not, they would not be able to communicate and stuff. That has helped. That has opened up the minds of a lot of us here in the Philippines to be able to move digitization quicker, right? And thus, what I was saying earlier, those are where we feel the biggest opportunities are moving forward. Obviously, a lot of the hindrances that you know a lot of people did have a hard time this year, last year, and this year, and therefore the economic benefits that flowed down to a lot of our fellow Filipinos, in terms of jobs and all that, has taken a back seat, right? But hey, let's use this opportunity to be able to move forward quicker in the change and be able to digitize even at a lower level, the way we do agriculture, the way we send money around, the way we do our the what do you call it, um, the card, what's it called, the microfinance, right? For example, right? That microfinance is such a big part that we need to do it more efficiently. Digitize that, for example, right? Make it more efficient. And for us here, I think that is the key part of what we need to do in this pandemic, where we hopefully have already been hit with the downside, and it's all upside from now on.
Can I add, Sabine, Maricar? Apart from what Sabine, I think apart from what Sabine mentioned, to me, a clear opportunity that we're able to allow to surface and to take advantage of is really create the difference, and for our stakeholders to see the difference between how Aboitiz, as a group in Aboitiz Power, behave, during or behaving in the pandemic, and in really reaching out and really making a difference. I think we are one of the critical players who drove for the use of PR 1-94 to be used for COVID relief, and also for our team members. I think with the way we engaged our team members, the way we communicated, we involved people, because early on we have the platform, and we're able to keep our people aware and engaged. I think it's one way of creating that impression to our team members that, wait, we're really we are a company that that's really worth moving working and developing our careers, no, as we move forward, as they actually work on their careers, as they progress in their roles in Aboitiz Power or in the Aboitiz Group in general.
Okay, thank you, EVR. Okay, the next question is addressed to Nabil. Sir Nabil, how will the recent or the cement industry likely fare this year versus last year in terms of volume and pricing? Is the influx of imported cement still a major concern? Sir, you have
Thank
the
you,
floor.
and good afternoon, everybody. I think, of course, the total demand has dropped last year in 2020 by 10% compared to 2019. Now, we strongly believe that we will get back to 2019 level in 2021. It means a 12% growth compared to 2020, if you prefer. Now, we have seen Q1. Q1 is printing a very sluggish growth compared to Q1 2019. We believe that the comparison with Q1 2020 is not relevant anymore because you remember at that time we had to shut down our plants in Luzon when the ECQ started. So we market should be back to 35 million ton in 2021. The main driver is the bag segment, what we call the individual house builders. That's the real backbone of the demand. What the segments that are lagging behind now are more the infrastructure and the non-residentials. When it comes to import, yes, import is still imported cement is still created a lot of injury to the local industry. As of today, imported cement are capturing more or less 15% of the total market in the Philippines. Well, this is a big concern to us. I'm sure it's also a big concern to everybody because we all know that when you buy local, you inject 3 times more to the local economy rather than when you buy imported cement. And I'm happy to say that on the 20th of April, the DTI has initiated an investigation regarding anti-dumping, especially for the cement that is coming from Vietnam. Because as a matter of fact, most of the cement that is imported from Vietnam is dumped to the Philippines. Means it is sold at a price that is much lower than the domestic selling prices in Vietnam, where I'd like to, we already said it in the last meeting, but the Vietnamese cement industry is subsidized also by the government now. So we are very happy. We are fully supporting the DTI for this investigation. And we strongly believe that common sense will prevail because it's time to be patriotic. And it's the time also to support the local industry for the development of the local industry, but also to create more jobs in the Philippines. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nabil. Now we have next question for Cassette. Has the infra sector really progressed in the past year, especially with COVID-19 happening? What are the key changes you've observed, and how do InfraCap's plans fit into this? Ma'am, you have the floor.
Yes, thanks for this and good afternoon to everyone. Most government PPP projects didn't really progress last year, but then as we've seen, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, there's really a compelling reason to improve our digital, urban, and social infrastructure, and that's something that the private sector can really contribute or participate in, in building this infra. So I guess it highlighted the need for those critical infrastructure, and I guess the private sector, us in the Aboitiz Infra Capital, we're well placed to participate in building and building those infrastructure.
Thank you, ma'am. There's also one question in relation to common towers. Can you give us an update on that, ma'am?
Yes, so for 2021, we've allocated around 2.5 billion for Capex to build the telco towers, and we're currently finalizing the negotiation for of commercial and technical design with the telcos, and hopefully in the next few days we'll be able to give you more details on those.
Okay. Thank you, Cosette. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. There's one question regarding DSAI, data science and artificial intelligence, from Lala Rimando. Can you provide us more details about DSAI and the subsidiary Aboitiz Data Innovation? Are they equivalent to a hybrid organization, as in centers of excellence, innovation labs, etc., meant to derive more rapid benefits from data investments? A number of leading companies have these new teams to act almost as SWAT teams to drive rapid results. Is that the case with your initiatives as well?
We started again. We started about 3 years ago, trying to integrate all our data, right, and to maximize the group. We have not been able to get too far, right? We've had a few projects, we've not been able to get too far. So we are now restarting it by doing it again with a team that is more experienced, right? So we have a team in the bank that has been very experienced. They are now leading the team for the whole, including, like I said, people from anywhere in the world to be able to join us. With the way people work now from anywhere, you can get the best. Transfer that knowledge here. So the Aboitiz data innovation is to gather the best that we can get, bring them and transfer that knowledge to us here in the Philippines, right? So again, we have a lot of people that will be training under them. So keep transferring that knowledge back and forth. What will the so that will unify, how do we maximize the data that we have for the group, right? That is what this team is also doing, right? And whatever future needs the SBUs are going to need, as far as data science and artificial intelligence is concerned, to grow their businesses. So those are the three things, right? Transfer the knowledge to us, hire the best you can hire, transfer the knowledge to us, maximize the data that we have around the group, and try to help the different BUs to be able to maximize their the way that they implement their digital strategies and use their data to reach customers, etc., etc. That's basically the role of that ADI.
So just a follow-up question also from Lala. How did you develop a data culture? Usually, cultural resistance is cited among the leading factors contributing to this lack of business adoption.
Well, again, right, Lala, that's an excellent question, and that's why we failed kind of the first time, right? And I particularly mentioned that we started all of this, but then you move forward a bit and then you move back exactly because of that. I think we weren't ready, like 5 years ago, we weren't ready yet. So we tried to implement something with the thing not ready. Now, I mentioned that what's happened now is that this pandemic has forced us to be ready, right? I mentioned your grandmother talking to, the 90-year-old talking to his grandchild at 3, and both using technology, right? So again, we feel that has forced people to be ready, right? And open up the minds. Because readiness is really about opening up your mind. And that is what this has done. And therefore, we now think we've learned from the failures that we've done in the past, right? We've now put together those learnings, right? And we feel that the timing today is good. So that's, I hope I answered the question.
Okay, thank you, Asmi. Now the next question, please. For Sir Dave, Aboitiz Land has reported good sales for the first quarter of 2021. What factors are contributing to this sales surge despite the pandemic, especially since the property sector has been heavily affected by the pandemic, sir?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Yeah, actually, the sales of Aboitiz Land has been encouraging, not just during this first quarter, but even last year. We actually, our 2020 sales actually surpassed 2019. No? And so right now, first quarter, we're running 61% ahead of the same period last year. And what are the factors? Well, what we've noticed is that I think there's really a changing trend. There's a trend in terms of market preference. I think because of the pandemic, because of work from home, because of people's wanting work-life balance and all, I think we're beginning to see people starting to look for other options aside from the usual 20, 25 square meter high density condos near CBD, because with work from home, they don't really have to be living near a CBD, right? And when you consider the hours they spend being at home, I said, why buy a 5-6 million condo, 25 square condo when you can get a house that's 4 or 5 times the size, right? Even if it's outside the CBD. So I think that's one trend. The second trend is I think that we do have all this infrastructure development, that is enhancing connectivity with respect to these areas, what we call new growth cities. So now, in the north, you've got infrastructure going to Pampanga, Tarlac, and to the south, of course, you've got a lot of these other infrastructure projects that improve connectivity to the south. So that enhances the viability of living in those areas. So that's the second factor, and I think the third factor is the growing preference of people to really transact digitally, to go contactless because of this pandemic. And when you think of all of those three factors, fortunately, all three factors are all beneficial to Aboitiz Land. Our projects are house and lot projects. They are located in growth cities like Pampanga and Tarlac. And I'm proud to say, I think we've been a pioneer in terms of really introducing and ramping up contactless home buying. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sir Dave. Now we have a question for Tristan. There are actually two questions from Likha Cuevas. First is the question about which markets you would want to consider for pet food targets. Would you consider New Zealand, or are you just limiting yourself to China? And a follow-up question, would you also consider an integrated feeds and meat processor acquisition in Vietnam? Tristan, you have the floor.
Yep, thank you. Thank you for the follow-up, Likha. So to the first question, I think, more than markets, when you are looking at acquisitions, I think we're more interested in what strategic value the target would offer our group. No? So we have definitely looked at potential targets in China for pet food, for example. Reason being, China is well advanced relative to Southeast Asia when it comes to pet food and marketing and all that sort of stuff, right? So we thought that we could definitely capitalize on some of the strategic aspects of a potential target in China, right? So I wouldn't focus on the markets. I would focus more on opportunities to work with a company that offers strategic value to our organization. No? Have we considered New Zealand? No, we have not. Did not know that there were two potential targets there. I would venture to guess, though, that this is something that would be out of our scope, given the fact that not a market that we currently operate in. No, but I mean, having said that, I mean, we would have to take a look at the targets, right? To your second question, would we consider an integrated feeds and meat processor acquisition in Vietnam? Well, so Vietnam's a market that we're in, as you well know, right? And this is a business that we know well. So I mean, it's not something that we are looking to do right now, but it is the type of opportunity that we would explore on a regular basis, no?
Okay, thank you, Tristan. That's all. Okay, next question is addressed to EDR. Okay, Mr. Sabin Aboitiz mentioned during the AEB ASM that AP is working on a pipeline of 1,600 megawatts of hydro, wind, and solar. Can you elaborate more on this, at least for the first few projects nearing completion?
Yeah, I actually answered your question, Vanessa. I typed the question, my answer to your question. But anyway, as I said, the total potential or the opportunity that we're looking at in the next 10 years is actually around 3,900, and that's an estimate on how much we can capture as an opportunity from the implementation of RPS. We have a total of 850 somewhere there, 854 megawatts of renewable energy service contracts. So if you're asking if you can relate that to something that the first few projects that will start, we will be starting with solar. I think soon we will be groundbreaking, hopefully within the year, no, for a project in Kayanga, Pangasinan for 73 megawatts, and then it will probably take 2 years for the data that we will get from the two met masts that we have installed also in Pangasinan. So that 1,600 is a part of the 3,800 or 3,900 that we're looking at in the next 10 years. But I typed my response to you privately. Maricar, you're on mute.
Okay, sorry, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay, next question is for Dini. Are you planning to borrow money this year? If so, for what purpose? Sir?
Yeah, thank you. Well, as part of the all of these growth plans, we're quite likely going to be needing some funding for all of these. I mean, every time we do large projects, there's always a component of debt that we're looking at. But this year, one of the themes that we have also is refinancing, right? So we're looking at a lot of opportunities to pay off some debts that are more expensive, refinance them with longer tenors and lower interest rates. We're also prepaying some of our other financing as well. So I think you'll see quite a bit of activity from us this year. We saw a month ago, AP did the 8 billion peso bonds. That was really successful. We were surprised with the interest, and we think that bodes well for the rest of the year. The good news is even the banks, while loan growth across the industry is down, I think the banks are looking for good credit stories and good opportunities as well. And I think the Aboitiz group would be one of those groups that may have a chance to be able to get additional funding from the banks as well. So I think the situation is right for these opportunities, and so it's a good time also for us to plan for our growth as well. Thank you. So it's a topic that I can go on for a long time, but I think that's the summary.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Dini. We have actually two other questions for energy again, EDR. The first is a reaction to the DOE's warning that anti-competitive economic sabotage charges may be filed against GenCos with plans on prolonged outages. And they cited AP being one of them. And the second is, what is the status of GMEC?
Okay, thank you for this question. It's something that we really would like to bring out. No, this position has been communicated by DOE in various venues, no, Congress hearings, Senate hearings, meetings with DOE. But one thing that we've always been saying, not just AP, but all generators with substantial capacities, no, especially those that own baseload plants. And baseload plants, most of them, or if not all, are significant. Have significant amount of contracts, no, to justify the investments. But the only time generators are actually making returns and getting margins from their plants is when they're running, right? It's we don't want to be shut down. As you know, you're asking questions about GMEC repair. It's no one I would believe, no, certainly not AP, would intentionally bring their plants down for I don't know what reason, no. And We are measuring our availability, reliability targets, and that's something that we always communicate as the primary value driver for Aboitiz Power, right? The, talking, there were discussions about penalties, there were discussions about fines. But if a plant is down, we have to buy from the spot market, and those monitoring prices in Wesem, when Swal is out, when GMEC went out, when Ilihan is derated because of gas restrictions, you've seen prices 14, 15 pesos, no? And if you're out, no, and you'll be buying from Wesem because no one would like to sell to you. You'll be buying at those prices and probably selling at your contracted rates at 4 pesos, 4.50. No? I think it's something that's being discussed, but we want to make sure that that impression that the plants are being are being intentionally shut down for gains. No? I don't believe that, and that I'm speaking for generators, and I think I can safely say that. But in particular, something that we will not do in Aboitiz Power. As regards GMEC unit number one, I think when we opened it up, when we inspected the unit, we saw significant damage in the boiler. Something that we didn't expect. We communicated early on that in the last analyst briefing, if I'm not mistaken, that we expect return to service around November 2021. We're pulling that back. I think we're looking at. I think maybe a conservative estimate would be around October 1. But a realistic estimate, no, things go well, anywhere from mid August to probably first week of September.
Okay, thank you, EBR. Okay, I think we can accommodate at least 3 or 4 more questions. This time is for Nabil. How will Republic Cement boost its production capacity this year?
Yeah, thank you. Well, I think
Yes,
we, despite COVID last year, we have managed to commission 2 new cement mill. One is located in our plant of Iligan, Mindanao. The other one is located in Bulacan, north from Manila. This is totaling 2.3 million. So now we are ramping up this capacity. And last but not least, on the clinker side, we have added 0.6 million ton by revamping all our kilns. This was mainly performed in 2019, and that's the way we are foreseeing our futures. I mean, it was a big issue for us to commission equipment during the pandemic because it was a bit difficult to access to all the technicians of the original equipment manufacturers. But nowadays, I mean, this equipment is up and running. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, on to the next question, please. Okay, for Sir Dave, is there really a shift in consumer behavior when it comes to buying properties? Are they really trading urban condos for rural residential living?
Yes, there are data to support this changing shift. For example, if you were to look at some of the reports of Lamudi, which is one of the biggest property portals here in the Philippines, or Colliers, they will tell you that, for example, in the case of Lamudi, the house and lot, their house and lot section in their portal has been getting the highest number of page views, no? And the most number of transactions, no? And Colliers and JL, and when you read all their property reports, they confirm this trend, no? For example, another data point is, if you recently, I think DSP released this report that showed that condos have actually suffered a price decline of almost 9% last year, no, versus house and lots, townhouses, which actually appreciated by about 16 to 20%, no. And even our own data, no, with our projects, no. So we have projects in North Luzon and South Luzon, which, as I've said, is not really within the CBD. About 30% of our buyers have addresses that are in Metro Manila. No, our projects in Cebu, for example, that are also not within the Metro Cebu area. About 70% of our buyers are from Metro Cebu. No, so I think all of that data confirms this trend that we're seeing of shifting consumer preference.
Thank you, Sir Dave. Okay, next question, please. Okay, for Ms. Cosette, what are your growth prospects for the industrial zones, ma'am?
Yes, we've all for our industrial zones. We have also allocated about 3 billion for expansion of our footprints, and we're also trying to transform or convert or evolve the development of these zones into smart development. So those are the things that we're excited that we're doing for our industrial zones in Batangas as well as in Cebu.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess we can accommodate just two last questions. Okay, for Sir Toto, what are the bank's initiatives to ensure smooth operations despite the quarantine?
Well, when the quarantine happened last March, we were actually able to immediately shift to work from home. So almost everyone in head office got shifted to work from home, and that's probably about 80%. And that was the benefit of having undergone a digital transformation. So we were all ready. Um, the challenge was more on the branches because the branches had to be physically manned, and so we had to make sure that people could move and go to the branches, and we had to provide for transportation, and in certain cases, temporary housing for branch personnel, and we also closed some of the branches that were nearby and operated on a body system. So nearby branches would alternate opening. And we were also able to launch new product features in our platforms, which allowed us to reduce the transactions in the branches. Like, for example, we launched the ability to deposit checks using your phone, and therefore you don't have to go to the branches. So, and all our other initiatives on the payment side, like waiving fees on InstaPay and PesoNet, help also declog the branches. So the goal was really try to encourage clients to do more transactions online. And we did see a lot of openings in new accounts using the app, and that also helped. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Sir Toto. I guess we have just one last question addressed to SME. Okay. Does the company already have agreements to purchase COVID-19 vaccines? If yes, what are the brands and how many? If this is confirmed, how many employees will be covered? When will the rollout be and who will be prioritized? That's the last question, sir.
Okay, well, yes, we have. I mean, our A people is the people who sustain our businesses, so they always come first in everything that we plan, in all our planning considerations, right? And when the pandemic first started, the first thing we did was to take steps to protect this health threat of our team members, right? So having said that, yes, we have bought the vaccines. We were we were in the first batch we possibly could in November, where the AstraZeneca was at that time. Even we took a risk because there was no. November was a different time, right? So we don't. There was no. We didn't have the surety that we had that the vaccines would work, that the vaccines would be approved. But we took the risk there. We ordered 30,000 vaccines for our team members and our subcontractors. So everybody was working with us. The delivery of that will be starting in end of May or beginning of June, and we hope to be able to vaccinate everybody in the month of June if the full batch that we're ordered comes in. If not, as it comes in, which is probably July, maybe start coming in June and then move into July. We are going to do the frontliners. I mean, a lot of the frontliners are actually getting vaccinated by the LGUs today, so that's helping out, right? But definitely the frontliners are in the priority list, right? And then we go to the rest. But frankly, the time frame should be very short. So the priority is not going to be a big issue, right? Because we should be able to vaccinate everybody within the month of June, hopefully. Yeah. So all employees, all our employees and our subcontractors.
And sir, it will be aligned with the guidelines also in terms of prioritization, sir. Guidelines of the government, sir.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir. So I guess that concludes our media briefing for tonight. Again, we'd like to thank all of our panelists for joining us tonight and sharing their immediate plans and programs as a group, and also for their respective units that they had. And also, we would like to thank our friends from the media for taking time out to be with us. We greatly appreciate it. For those questions that we have failed to ask due to limited time, we will just be sending the questions to the concerned business units, and we will get back to you the soonest for their answers. So again, thank you, everyone. Keep safe and have a pleasant evening.